Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bridge of Two podcast, where we bridge the sci-fi and fantasy realms we love to a nerdcast of epic proportions. Welcome,
That was
everybody.
pretty epic. I was waiting for your welcome, so
Thank you. See, she
I was
was
really
polite.
excited about that.
We have invited the other half of our bridge.
We are a bridge of four today.
Yep.
We're Bridge of Wives.
Wait, isn't in the book Bridge 4? Isn't that like it?
It's Bridge of Four. Or Bridge 4.
We've come full circle.
Full circle, guys.
We have done four
Great.
people
Well, now,
before.
well, at least, track record, at least 75% of us have to die, so who's living?
Yeah, I'm Kaladin, so I'm gonna
dang
live.
it.
I'm gonna live no matter how hard I try to die.
Are you though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, am I Kaladin?
Yeah.
No, I'm not Kaladin.
To be fair, I'm Kaladin here.
I'm probably Teft.
Okay, we'll stop talking.
So enough.
Wait, 75%? Sorry. Was that book spoilers?
No, Bridge 4 just, is, the worst bridge to be on, because,
Way
everybody
of
dies.
Kings.
Oh, you're
Bridge
talking about
spoilers.
statistically, not like the actual characters in the book.
No, not like the.
No, if we're
not
talking
not
like
the Bridge 4, the core Bridge 4, but like the.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're talking about,
Just
the
in
core Bridge
general.
4, then, 90% die.
Yeah. No,
Just joking.
Just joking. Yeah, so we have our wives on.
We should probably introduce them, shouldn't we?
My wife's name's Erin. Erin, say hi.
Hello.
She did that voluntarily. I did not force her to do that. That wasn't a command. It was a polite invitation.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, my wife's name is Stephanie. Would you like to say hi, Stephanie?
Oh
Hey.
my gosh.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, wow. I said say hi. No.
That was a very egalitarian
No, you
way of
asked
asking
if
that.
she would say hi. Yeah, that's kidding.
That's true.
Erin, would you start us off?
Ooh.
Anything sci-fi and fantasy going on in your world lately?
Other than Josh.
What's the last sci-fi or
Oh.
fantasy book you read?
Harry Potter last year.
You didn't have to say how long ago.
Oh, okay. Harry Potter.
But now we know. What else? Oh, but I've read to you my stuff I've been writing.
Oh,
Actually,
that's true.
semi-regularly. So
It's a short story or the book?
the short
The short stories,
the Mithril story.
I was about to say, I was about to be jealous.
It's very good.
Jealous if he's read you the book.
She's read some of
Have
them.
you
I've
read the
some.
short stories?
The short stories I have.
Oh, okay.
I haven't read the book yet, though.
Yes, you have read me some of the book. And it's good.
Who's your favorite character in my short story?
Oh my gosh. No. I don't even know their name. I can't remember their names.
I'm a big Rowan.
Try not to be hurt.
I'm a big
I
Rowan
like
fan.
the Hellcat.
Whoa, this is PG.
I'm sorry.
No, just kidding.
What's the
Okay,
Hellcat?
what else would you call it?
What's the Hellcat's name?
No, it's okay.
Its name is Prim, right?
Brim.
Okay, completely edit this out.
Absolutely not.
No, it's okay.
Brim,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Brim. Okay, Brim. I like Brim.
Or Brimstone.
I like that. I like that cat.
Awesome.
He's really cool.
I like
She's
that
cool.
dang cat.
Is a girl?
There's lots of strong female characters
Okay.
that are all animals.
Yeah, just, and actually it's just the one, I think, so far, right?
Yeah. No, there's anyway. Enough about that. Yeah.
And I've been watching the Rings of Power show, which
Nice.
is
And you like it?
very good. Yes, I love it.
I told her to say that before we started. I'm just kidding.
No,
So-
Erin has her own opinions.
Okay, but
Insert rolling eyes here.
Aaron, what's one of your favorite pieces of fantasy sci-fi media?
Harry Potter.
That's fair.
Don't
That's
laugh.
a good answer.
It's a good thing.
Don't laugh.
Well, I mean, don't feel silly.
Don't feel silly. Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
I love Harry
We're all
Potter.
big fans of Harry Potter here.
We will all be neck deep in that game when it comes out, I think.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Steph? Will you be neck deep in
In the game?
the Hogwarts game?
I think she will.
I would try it.
Hogwarts Legacy.
I think she'll. I think she'll end up liking.
I mean,
I liked the game that came out on the smartphone a couple
Which
years
one?
ago.
wasn't there a couple? Oh, you mean the mystery
big
one? It was like mystery or something. Hogwarts
No,
Mystery.
you were like a student. You would like go around and take classes.
Yeah,
and, like,
Hogwarts
get...
Mystery. I think it's Hogwarts Mystery.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
heard that was a good game. Actually.
It was fun.
Like, it was like
I played for
in-depth.
a while, and then
remember
I
it.
got a new phone, and my game got erased, and I wasn't about to start over.
Who's your favorite character in Harry Potter?
Snape.
What?
Snape.
We talked about this before.
Severus Snape. Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Interesting. Why?
I think he's probably one of the bravest characters in the book. I mean,
Interesting. No, seriously interesting. I'm just.
I don't know. I mean, he literally sacrifices himself. I mean,
Yeah.
I know he didn't do it for Harry, but
Yeah.
he did it for her, and
Yeah. He did.
I mean,
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's very. I was just curious. I think you're one of the first people I've heard say that Snape's their favorite. So I was genuinely curious as to
well,
why.
I mean, it's like,
I will.
well,
yeah.
Harry's my favorite or Hermione, but I really do like Snape because without Snape, Harry would have died the first book.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because, I mean, even like on the broomstick, when they were playing Quidditch, Quirrell was cursing doing whatever it was
Yeah.
to his broom, and he would have killed him if Snape wasn't,
Right.
doing the counter curses. So,
I do think they did Snape the way they did his story arc with like the twist too. I think they did a good job with it too because they didn't just make him like this good guy. Like he's still a jerk.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But
Still a
he
complicated
didn't
character.
necessarily have like his motives weren't necessarily like because I love Harry as well. I just like his mom. I like your mom.
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, he only saw Harry as James Potter's son. He looked exactly like him, except he had his mother's eyes.
So emotional.
So, yeah, you're totally right in that area that his motives were not to save Harry for saving Harry. It was, his motives were all because he was in love with Lily. So.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Spoilers. Spoiler warning if you haven't read Harry Potter. Imagine knowing all that, like reading it for the first time, you're like, oh,
That would
change probably the whole.
would be really upsetting if you already
thing.
knew that going into it.
Yeah, maybe. What about you, Steph? What would you like to bring to the sci-fi fantasy table this evening?
What have you been up to? Anything of interest?
I know. I feel like I need to talk about what I'm doing because
What
that's what
in
you guys do,
particular?
and
What have you been doing?
then I'll feel like an actual part of the podcast.
Anything like sci-fi fantasy?
I've been this year slowly. I've been like dabbling in reading the. Oh my gosh, what's the first book called? Starsight.
Oh, Skyward.
Skyward. Okay, Starsight is the second one.
Yeah.
Of the Brandon Sanderson young adult sci-fi, and it's pretty good. I just recently picked up the short stories.
Okay.
That are like, I think there's 2 short stories that are in between book 2 and 3.
Okay.
So I'm reading those.
Nice.
You know how Brandon Sanderson likes his short stories.
Yes.
His novellas.
Well, it's interesting because I thought it was going to go back to like the characters' perspectives from book 1 maybe, but it picks up where book 2 ends, where this character is at, what the short story is about. So it's actually continuing the story because I was avoiding reading it because I was like, I thought it wasn't going to be too interesting, but the fact that it picks up where the plot ended in book 2 makes it a little bit more intriguing.
It's cool. Yeah, it's not. It just kind of pulled right into their, like right into the what was going to come next. So it kind of pulls you
from their
pulls right into it.
just from a different character's perspective.
Cool.
So it's cool. And speaking of reading, I finished my Goodreads book goal of the year, which is 20 books.
Wow. So
I finished.
Are you going to stop reading for the rest of the year?
Yep, I'm done. I'm not interested anymore. No, I feel like the past couple years I've been on a major reading slump, and this year I picked it up again. Actually, because you got me that book for Christmas, the Brandon Sanderson
Skyward,
one.
yeah,
and it made me start picking up reading again. So
cool.
Well, good. I'm glad glad Brandon Sanderson could do that to you too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should get me a book.
Get her Skyward.
Aaron, I'll get you a book.
I mean, I would get you Skyward.
I'm just kidding.
Or maybe
I'm just giving you a
Mistborn.
hard time.
Would you read it though?
I got you Mistborn for your birthday. So you don't need to get me Mistborn.
You need to
You
get her
can't
Skyward.
read that
You can't? Why?
Some books are for decoration.
because it'll break the spine.
Oh.
Don't break the spine.
But didn't you crack the spine?
No, I didn't crack the spine. That's just the sound of the.
Of when you first open it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. You can edit that
I think. No. Anything you want to bring up, Jeremiah?
I've done a lot.
Jeremiah,
I'm done with school, man. I've just been on the train.
rattle it off for us.
Oh, finished Malazan book 2 finally. It had its own little like Sanderlanche there at the end, where like I was kind of the midway through, I was kind of getting a little hard time finishing it, and like a lot was happening with like so many different storylines.
Yeah.
There was like in the middle part of the book, there was like 7 or 8 different storylines going on that it would jump through in the middle of the chapter.
Oh wow.
And so, because chapters are really long, but he splits them up through perspectives. But by the end, they all kind of, not all came together, but the groups came together. So it ended up being like 3 storylines by the end, I think. And definitely ended up having the end. Just a lot happened in the end. A lot of cool things happened. A lot of things I did not expect to happen happened. So that was really exciting. Some characters in it that I did not think I was going to like, I ended up really liking.
Cool.
Started Ruination, the League of Legends book. I'm excited about that. Like 70 pages in now. It's actually pretty good. It's just so much easier than Malazan to read. So that's exciting. Finished Court of Owls.
Right.
Did I do that last time? I don't remember. No, I finished that on that trip. So yeah, we finished Court of Owls, the first graphic novel. Really good.
Spooky.
It is really creepy, the end.
Owls are spooky.
The ending was really creepy.
That's Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was during their.
No, I didn't even know that.
It was during their New 52.
Point for Aaron.
The start of their New 52 line of stuff, and the Court of Owls quickly became like a fan favorite between a lot of people. Actually, the new game that's coming out, the main bad guys are Court of Owls, but really dark storyline so far.
Yeah, good.
I actually thought Batman was going to die at one point.
Right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like, how in the world is he going to get out of this?
Finished Arkham City, the game. So, just looking forward to more stuff, more books being read.
Yeah,
got a couple on the waiting list. Nice. So we'll see what happens. What about you, Josh? What you been up to?
I don't have much to talk about, except there's this game that I just started playing last night called Titanfall 2, because Brandon Sanderson said it's like the best single-player campaign he's ever played. And it was on sale, and I'd never played the first one. It's set in some future where there's like, it's like humanity spread out on all these different planets, I guess, and they're fighting this other force that's got a lot of robots and like droids and stuff. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Separatists in like Clone Wars. But there's people too that you kill. But
people that you kill.
But you have this like neural link with these things called Titans. They're these big giant exosuits that you get inside and do things and fight with and stuff. It's just a really fun game. One of those games that makes you feel awesome when you're playing it.
Yeah, that game was like the start of the wall run stuff. And like a lot of the traversal, like Titanfall 1, like traversal running on walls. Because I remember like right after Titanfall came out, Black Ops, I think 3 or 4 came out and they started doing the wall run stuff and everything like that.
Cool.
What do you say we take a break, grab a couple drinks that we got, and come back and talk about Rings of Power episodes 4 and 5?
What do you say, ladies?
I say let's do it.
Sounds great.
You guys sound so enthusiastic.
And we're back.
Huzzah.
Wow.
Oh, very good. Just belted it out.
Yeah, it was just not even really that well done.
Say it again a little louder.
Jeremiah, I'm doing my best, okay?
You're doing great.
You're doing great. You're
doing my best.
Welcome back, everybody.
We have drinks. straight from Ju Woo's place of
His
business.
very own grocery store.
For his very own grocery store that he works at, that I will not say because
Well, he's a manager now, right?
assistant manager.
Assistant to the manager. That is awesome.
So this comes from the Ju Woo, a local brew, I'm pretty sure, from Clayton, North Carolina.
It's got a picture of a mountain on it. That's how you know it's from North Carolina.
Deep River Brewing Company. This is called the Pumpkin Pie Porter. # not your meemaws.
Oh, snap.
That's amazing.
I'm glad.
Ready? Get ready for this back. I love it. Our pumpkin pie porter won't stick to your ribs like grandma's cooking, but it sure packs a fistful of flavor. We pack over 7 pounds of pumpkin per barrel into this beer along with our perfect blend of pumpkin pie spices.
Why are you reading it in that accent?
No, keep going.
We know grandma always said don't spoil your supper with too many drinky poos. But we say indulge because grandma's in the kitchen drinking dandelion wine anyways. Deep River Brewing Company.
You got progressively more southern.
I know.
That was the point.
It's like the way it's written, you can't not do it in a southern accent.
I know. Let's pop this bad boy open and give it a little taste. A tasty poo.
Remember that one time that I opened whatever and it
Exploded
exploded
everywhere.
on my computer?
Yes.
Mhm.
Good times.
Good times. Memories.
Oh, it really does say not your meemaws.
And I poured it way too fast.
Huh.
I'm so disappointed in myself.
Wow.
Don't look at it. Don't look. I'm gonna
That's like
drink
3/4 foam, dude.
I'm gonna drink from the can.
Okay, cheers.
It's pretty good. Oh, whoops. Drinking too fast. There's a little bit of a pumpkin kind of taste to it. It's definitely a porter.
What do you think, Aaron?
I like it. It's
Yeah.
really good.
I like it too. It's
It's got a pumpkin aftertaste.
Steph's face isn't having it right
I'm
now.
not getting the pumpkin though. It's not a bad
hint.
porter.
It's a hint of a pumpkin.
It's a hint, but it's also like an after.
Where's the pie?
I definitely don't think it's 7 pounds of pumpkin like they said, but
Where is the friggin' pie?
the aftertaste, it definitely got a little bit of a pie aftertaste.
I want floating bits of pie
That's
in
not
this.
bad. I like it.
It's pretty good. Porters are good. I do think floating bits of pie would be really good. Well, or really disgusting, depending on.
I don't know why I don't really like this. But I'll probably. I mean,
Do you like
I'm gonna-
porters?
I don't know. I think the last time I had a porter was I was in Harry Potter World and they had like a porter there.
Wait, do you know how to get to Harry Potter World? Oh my gosh.
I'm definitely more of a light
That, oh my gosh, was
beer
great.
person, but
Have you had a porter before?
I don't know, have I?
Do you drink
I
beer?
mean, I pretty much anytime he orders a beer
You
while
don't have to
we're
finish it.
out,
Yes, you do.
uh,
You try what I
will
have.
sample. Yeah, I think we were at a baseball game, and that was the first time that I ever got my own beer.
That was a lager. That was Land Shark.
Yeah.
Oh, lantern.
So yeah, I don't know if I've ever had a porter, but
This
yeah,
is kind
it's
that's
good.
kind of the vibe of porters is like the way this tastes. But then they have some of them. Sometimes they'll have ones that are like coffee porter.
that's what this
or-
reminds me of. I feel like I've had like a coffee
Hmm.
porter type drink from Harry
Is there
Potter
coffee
World
in
that
this?
tasted
Because I feel
similar.
like I can taste coffee.
It does have a little bit of a coffee
It's
undertones.
bitter.
It
It's
does.
like a bitter.
Maybe it's the
taste
pumpkin.
just a little bit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is the bitter. I feel like that's maybe what's throwing me off a little bit. I feel like most porters don't have that much bitterness.
I was expecting it to be a little bit sweeter because it's like a pumpkin pie
I did as well,
thing.
but I don't. I like it as far as beers go.
I do like it.
It's good. It's not bad.
Feels warm going down, and that's all that matters.
It's got a pumpkin on it and fall leaves.
It is. It feels very fall. It definitely put me in the fall mood.
This is not a fall mood, but
Okay.
Mm.
the can is cute. The can
The
is
show
very
is a fall
aesthetic
mood.
The show is a fall mood.
because it's about fantasy, and fantasy is
About fall.
fall.
Well, no, this show in particular, though, because there's a lot of stuff about trees and trees dying.
Are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Rings of Power?
Oh, I thought you meant the show as like the podcast,
Oh, this show.
like this show. This
show's about
podcast
trees
show.
dying.
It's all we talk about. Death of trees.
I thought we were transitioning, and so I
You
was
were
trying
trying to, and then I
Death
wasn't
to
getting
all
it,
trees.
so I'm sorry.
I thought the segue was good.
I wasn't keeping.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Whatever.
I didn't understand.
So, episode 4 and 5, Rings of Power.
Mm-hmm.
They have dropped.
I have the cast list pulled up because I don't know the names of everybody, and the whole time I don't want to be like that one girl or this guy.
You're gonna be dropping the cast names?
No,
or the character names.
The character
okay.
names.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So I'm gonna have no idea who you're talking about.
No. A lot of them have very like weird, like hard to pronounce names.
Real
that
names.
Sounds very white of me to say
Oh
that.
yeah, like how do you
Yeah.
pronounce?
It's a very diverse cast.
It is.
The girl who plays Galadriel.
It's Morphith or something because she's
Morpheus, what?
No, the double D at the end is like pronounced like a z because she's Swedish or Swiss or we watched
she's
Welsh.
Yeah,
Wales. She's from Wales.
Okay.
Oh, that's
She
sick.
did the Welsh alphabet on Stephen Colbert, and
Is it cool?
it is, but it doesn't even sound like it. Just sounds like sounds.
It's like grunts and
It's
like.
it's really interesting to hear her do it.
Please edit that out. I don't want to hear what that sounds like on the other side.
Don't you dare edit that out. I will riot if you edit that out. I wish I was editing this episode because I'd leave everything in.
You'd just like magnify that part. You'd like just put that part in randomly. Like just all of a sudden, just the sound of Jeremiah.
I would edit it out, but just move it to somewhere else. That makes zero sense to where it was put.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so episode 4 or 5 dropped.
Yes.
Over the past 2 weeks. We've watched it. We've caught up. I am still very much enjoying the show and enjoying where the show's going. We'll start off with that. How's everybody else feeling about it so far? After we're 5 episodes deep, there should be another 4, right?
I think it's 8 episodes.
Okay, so we'll have another 3.
So we got 3
Oh
left.
my gosh, that's not enough.
So we're over halfway
Yeah.
at this point then. How's everybody feeling about it so far?
I love it. I think it's really good.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
I love that. I just feel like it reminds me a little bit of like, not comparing it to Game of Thrones, but like sort of in a way that there's really slow, like drawn out like scenes and dialogue and tons of character storylines. But it somehow all like fits together to the same theme. It just kind of reminds me of that a little bit, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I mean, like the first 2 episodes, because they're introducing all those storylines, you know, it's like you don't get very far in any of them. But it was necessary because they are setting up this like multi-season, multi-storyline, and they're like laying the groundwork for stuff, you know, that they're going to be paying off in 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so I think they've done a really good job with that. And I love how long the episodes are.
Oh my gosh,
Me
it's
too.
my favorite thing about it.
The last episode 5 was an hour and 12 minutes one time. That there's not, you know, fully because of credits and stuff, but still, like, there's so much time. There's so much time for things to be patient, you know.
Yeah, I'll say initially, so like Steph and I have been busy this past couple weeks. So we only just watched these last 2 episodes yesterday and today. And I'll say with them being an hour and like 10 minutes long, I was like, oh man, this is going to be kind of rough because we got to kind of really trying to fit this in. But man, as soon as you turn them on, you're like, I'm so glad they're an hour long episodes because it's just, you really can just fit so much in and so much happens in each episode is great. And and I hate continuing to compare it, but compared with like Kenobi where like the episodes are like 30 minutes, 40, 35 minutes. It's like, this is how you do it.
Right.
If you're gonna do a shorter season where it's like 6-8 episodes or whatever, make the episodes hour and a half long or hour and 10 minutes long. Like that's how you do a show. That's how you do it right. And not just that, not only they're long, but the story is consistently good and the production value is consistently good.
Mm-hmm.
The production value has not dropped since episode 1, which sometimes they do. Shows will do.
Yeah.
It has been consistently good. So I'm just, my hat's off to these people again.
I can't stop drooling over the costumes.
Yeah.
They're so good.
The production design.
The
She's
detail
drooling
is,
right
like,
now.
Really good. Oh yeah, just thinking about it.
You're making a mess.
I agree. I think, that on Friday we had the most recent episode on, and when you said how long it was, I was like, oh, okay, so it's like we're turning on a movie or something. And then, you turned it on and we just got lost in that world. And then at one point you paused it and it had like 10 minutes left. And I was like, oh, wow, like that went by really, really fast because it just is that good and keeps your attention, the whole time. And it has a really good balance of, all the different characters and, their different stories and everything. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The graphics are amazing.
Really glad that they have jumped back into Elrond and Durin's story in episode 4 and 5. Yeah. So we didn't have that in episode 3.
Right. They took a break.
They kind of took a break. And then episode 4, they took a break from the Half-Foots, which I was kind of glad about.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Wow, okay. Well,
we'll get into that.
Get that later.
But so episode 4, you jump back in with Elrond and Durin. And it seems like they're building the tower already. That's what it looked like.
I think you can see like the base of it
something. They're moving quick. Or there's like a little bit of a jump. But I love...
Yeah, there's some time pass, I think.
Elrond and Durin. I love their friendship. I love the story that's going on there. I love this, where that storyline's going with this, the Mithril, which you totally called out, Josh, that they're mining Mithril. So I have a question actually for you, Josh. How Mithril's described in the show, where it's like it's like a piece of the Silmaril, or like it's like imbued with one of the Silmarils, and the darkness of like a Balrog or whatever. Is that canonically accurate?
Let's just go there. That was like the most one of the most controversial things that's been on actually been on the show. Like there's all this controversy that's just kind of like hot air that's been around for a long time, but this is something that's actually in the show that people are upset or not sure how to feel about, because it is not in the books. Like this being like the origin for Mithril is not like this story. But that being said, I think there's several different things going on there, and maybe a really interesting twist that we might see related to that. I don't think there is like an origin for Mithril given. It's just like it's just an ore that they discover.
That's what I always thought, was just that it's just an ore.
The Silmarils, where there was only 3 of them, and they're all known. Like it's kind of like historically known what happened to all of them. But Elrond says that's like considered apocryphal, right? I think he says like whenever Gil-galad is like, have you ever heard this? The song of the roots of Hithaglir or whatever, and Elrond's basically almost dismisses it. He's like, that's like a mythology, or that's not real. So I think that's kind of the show. I think there's a couple things. It's like there's certain lore they can't dabble into. So in their show, we don't know all the fate of all the Silmarils. We know that one of them is with Elrond's dad. I think that's been mentioned already. But so like it's possible that in this canon, because they don't have all the canon at their disposal, that there could have been a Silmaril that was never found or something, and this like mythology sprung up around it of like what happened. But the way the story is told and like even displayed, it's obviously like a kind of mythological thing, right? He's putting his light into this, and he's putting his darkness in the lightning strikes.
So that's what I kind of thought too. It almost made it sound like, or the way I kind of took, like it seems is that like this is their story, and maybe Gil-galad's the king, right?
Yeah.
So maybe even he thinks it's real. But I almost wonder if it's just, he's just another way of still once again trying to make excuses for what's happening in the world, but not that Sauron's returning. Because I still think that they don't believe that Sauron's returning.
Yeah.
And so that's just his way of, it's another way of trying to push that off and say it's something else. And now he's using this Mithril to say, well, we need this to survive. And I think that the Mithril will help. I think it'll provide weapons and armor to the elves, but it's not going to do what Gil-galad wants, which is imbue them with this light. Instead, it's going to provide them protection and armor, weapons.
Yeah,
for the war coming.
Yeah. What did you guys think when you heard So like we could talk about the other storylines later, but we'll just talk about like Elrond's kind of storyline these 2 episodes. What did you guys think when you learned the kind of the reason that they've got to get this thing going before spring is because like this like black stuff on the tree, it basically is telling them that they're going to stop being immortal if they don't turn things around by spring, because something is somehow... What was your reaction to that?
I feel like I wasn't connecting the dots, really, of how what the dwarves have is going to help them.
Yeah, it's because
like,
the Silmarils...
Okay, yeah, maybe
the Silmarils contain... Remember the 2 trees, the light of the 2 trees at the beginning? The elves were bathed in that. Like, that was like this super powerful light. And... The Silmarils...
It's supposed to be the power of the Valar. Or not the Valar, they say it somewhere in the show. I can't remember what. I think it's the Valar. He says something about returning the power of... Maybe. The Valar.
Well, I mean, the Valar created the 2 trees. So
I think it's returning the power of the Valar to the elves.
Right. Oh, the light of the Valar.
Light of the Valar, yeah.
Yeah. So they think because the Silmaril was... Whenever the trees were destroyed, they were able to capture the light into these 3 gems called Silmarils. And Morgoth wanted them, and they were kind of like coveted by all sorts of people and stuff similar to the Ring. But because they have that light of the 2 trees in them, I think that there's this theory. They're theorizing that the Mithril was infused with the light from a Silmaril when the tree was struck, right? That whole story. There's a Silmaril in this tree. It's struck by lightning and like infused all these veins of... They're thinking that somehow could we... expose all elves to that somehow, and then that would like restore their immortality or something. That's kind of what they're thinking. But, so
I feel like one of the main points I just got from that storyline was how Elrond didn't break his promise and like expose it. I don't know, the whole like the other part of it, like what you were asking about. I don't know. It's hard for me to be like intense about that because I'm like, I don't fully understand it.
But what you cared about
I cared about was like more of like the friendship storyline of that part of the episode.
What about you, Aaron?
I was curious to see how Elrond was gonna, deal with that, because I know that there is, strife between the elves and the dwarves, and I was, just curious if maybe this was a little bit of like an origin to that, but the way that he just said it, because I was thinking to myself, when we were watching that, is like, just tell him, that you were lied to as well. And, he was truthful with him. He was honest, and, and the dwarf, what is it? Durin? His reaction was the best. I mean, and he's like, give me the meat and give it to me raw. And that was just great. So yeah, I was a little confused too. And I mean, honestly, I thought I lost a little bit of interest, because in my mind, it kind of didn't have anything to do with Sauron's return and everything. And I just wanted to get back to that story.
You're talking about the Mithril stuff?
Yeah.
But see, that's where I line up. I think it does. I think the darkness encroaching on the tree is from Sauron. I don't know if I necessarily think that Gil-galad's explanation is right. I still think that he's once again trying to find excuses for why Sauron is no longer here. And so I don't necessarily think that this happens and we all die in spring and yada yada yada. I think that the corruption is coming from Sauron. And I do think that the Mithril will come in handy, but I don't think it's going to come in handy as bringing the light back. Like I said, I think it's going to be coming in handy for weapons.
Do you think that he's being, like, totally truthful and saying that if we don't get this, we're all going to be gone by spring? Because I don't fully trust him. Like, I feel like he's still
I don't know for certain if
a little bit.
He's slimy.
Yeah, I don't know for certain if I fully think that he believes it or doesn't. I don't think he's truthful. He's obviously already lied to Elrond. Although I will say that that whole interaction and this whole interaction of the 2 episodes has just exponentially grown my like for Elrond as a character and as a person in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that conversation they have where he's just like, is your oath more important than the lives of the elves. And Elrond's basically it's just like, my oath is, if I have nothing else to hold on to but my oath, I don't remember exactly what he said, but
well, and he told him that the fate of the elves lies in his hands. Like he is the one who gets to.
Well, Celebrimbor keeps doing this thing, and I'm not sure if he's being genuine or not.
He's also sketchy to
part of me thinks that Celebrimbor is. I think Gil-galad is somewhat genuine. He's just slimy politician about it. I think Celebrimbor, though, is kind of pushing buttons because he wants to make something. He wants to make something, and he needs this mithril, he thinks. And his grandfather is the guy who put the light in the Silmarils. So he wants to do something on par with his grandfather. But he keeps trotting out all these memories of Elrond's dad conveniently when Elrond is conflicted. You know, Elrond's conflicted and he's like, one time your dad told me that my fate would be in your hands. One time your dad told me that, he was the only one who could do this thing. And so now I'm telling you, you're the only one that can do this. Yeah. And I don't like that. Like, I don't like that he keeps, it feels manipulative.
It does.
Because Elrond was just a child. When his dad had to sail away to ask the Valar to come save the day, basically, and he never got to see him again. And so, Elrond's very hungry for, like, that kind of information. So it just feels slimy that, I don't know if that's how they're playing it on purpose, but it just feels manipulative to me.
Yeah, something feels weird with me with that guy, Celebrimbor. He just, something about him. I think you kind of hit on the nail, hit the nail on the head with him always bringing up his dad in these weird times, these weird moments. Is like, part of it seems genuine, but at the same time it doesn't.
If I was Elrond after what he found out, I wouldn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Except for Durin. Durin's great.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Also, can we just talk about Durin's loyalty to Elrond? To just where Elrond's like, look, I was lied to as well, but this might be the salvation of my people. And Durin's like, cool, let's go get it.
Yeah,
let's go talk my father.
My dad. Mm-hmm. I love how he made Elrond repeat it like multiple times. It's like, so you're saying
their relationship is great. It is my favorite thing in this show right now. Yeah. I love their.
Plus,
he made up that whole story about the table.
Durin's a great character. Dwarves in general are just. I'm so glad we're getting more dwarves. They're just great. Yeah, that whole story of the table made me, especially, and I knew he was lying too. And then just when they came, so funny. And then Elrond's just laughing with them at that point. It's just hilarious.
It's just funny to see the elves like carrying it. One of them just drops it, and it's so funny. I love too with their storyline in. I think it was more of an episode 4. Just Elrond, because of his relationship with his father and missing it, what the insight that he gives to Durin about his father and about, realizing, like, he realizes that rather than worrying about would his father be proud of him, he would take any opinion. If his father could be there to give him his opinion, if his father was there to tell him he's disappointed, at least that would mean his father was there, and so he kind of gives Durin that little pep talk at the end of that, one episode. And
that scene with Durin and his dad was very heartwarming too, where the dad's like, even if it's always in anger, or even if it's in anger, like I'm with you. Sometimes most of all in it when I'm in it. But I'm with you. It was very heartwarming little moment. Can't wait to see more of that. Just curious to see, because Elrond's a good guy. I mean, he's a decent dude in the Lord of the Rings movies. I think he's he's an elf. He has those.
He's views. A little more politician by the time the Lord of the Rings movies happen.
I feel like both Elrond and Galadriel are very different in the movies and their acting, now. Which they're so much younger.
Right.
Like, they're basically,
and they go through a whole war, like a major war.
Yeah.
And Sauron's actually, there and active at that time. So it's a little more justified than it is now.
I like it. I like seeing more of their, past, personalities, and
I'm glad they're different.
You get the feeling that they're young. Yeah,
it would be weird if they were the same people.
Galadriel is still intimidating and terrifying in this show. She's because she's that way in the trilogy. She's there's just something off about her, off-putting. She's a cool character, but she's very intense, and she's very intense in the show.
Yeah,
I just want her. I was telling Jeremiah today watching it. I want to see her. When does she start using powers or her magic, because like I love the sword fighting, like and all of that. Mm-hmm. That she's like a well-rounded like warrior, but in Lord of the Rings, she never picks up a weapon. She only ever uses her powers, and I just wonder if she's
really
going to be
powers that much in
using magic in.
Well, she's got the mirror. You know, she's got the mirror. She can see into people's minds. Mm-hmm. She's got now.
Does that come with the ring?
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know in your head, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's gonna be. That's one of the things I'm really enjoying about the show is seeing these people that are going to get rings of power. Elrond's going to get one. She's going to get one. Another elf's supposed to get one. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, or if they're going to. I don't know if this stranger guy's Gandalf or not. If he's Gandalf, then they'll probably just give him the ring right away because he ends up with the ring as well. But then there's got to be 9 kings of men, or they don't have to be kings. They could be like I read a thing. There's like some of them were sorcerers, some of them were great warriors, some of them were kings. So that's another thing we're going to see is all the different people that are going to be getting rings of power. But that's an interesting thing about the Mithril mythology is that their idea is that maybe Mithril can preserve the elves, and that is the purpose of their rings. Whenever the rings that they bear, they preserve their realms, like stay untouched by the fading of the world. Huh. Like it kind of keeps the realm more like these elven realms, like Lothlorien. When you go into Lothlorien, it's like otherworldly. Mm-hmm. You see different constellations. Oh. It's just a very powerful place because Galadriel's Ring of Power is like protecting it and keeping it preserved. Okay. So there is an aspect of that whole like mythology that sort of ends up being true. What they're trying to make, what they're going to end up making, the rings, that's what they do. They preserve the 3 rings.
I wonder if maybe the rings will be made from Mithril.
Yeah, canonically, I think 1 is, but they might do all of them to be made with Mithril.
It would be,
I'm just not sure what that, if that story and that whole thing, what it is. Here's another thing, though, people. Let's talk about Sauron.
Who is Sauron?
My man.
That's
Theories.
The question.
Who do you think Sauron is, Aaron?
Oh my word. I don't know. I mean, that old man that led half that town to go and pledge their allegiance to this guy. Mm-hmm. But then when he called him Sauron or whatever, and then he
big mistake
got his butt kicked, I was like, okay, maybe not. I honestly have no idea. That was my only maybe that's him, but now I'm not thinking that anymore, so I'm not sure.
I wonder, and this could be totally out of a weird ballpark, but I wonder if something with that sword hilt is going to somehow bring the spirit of Sauron into an already existing character. Because he says it's a king, the elf, the Arondir talks about it being a key, and he does say that this enemy could, if the enemy gets this, it could bring forth the power, because the guys talk about wanting to be a god and everything like that.
Right. And he wants to get that sword. What if that's what this sword does? Is it ends up bringing forth the spirit almost of the being of Sauron into a person, and they're taken over by this. I don't know. It's interesting.
Just something I thought of because I still don't know if we've met him.
Yeah.
I don't think we've met Sauron yet. At least not legitimately.
You don't think it's the guy that Galadriel's with?
No. I think he's a Southlander who's just. I think he's an important character. I think he'll turn bad. I think he's going to end up turning dark. I kind of wish he wouldn't because I'm starting to like him, but I do think he'll turn dark.
I don't like him.
The back and forth between him and Galadriel was kind of getting old to me a little bit. Like, come with me. No, I don't want to. You have to. You're the king. And he's like, no. It was like going on and on for 3 episodes. And I was just like, okay.
Speaking of the Southlanders, real quick, kind of jumping around. Actually, we'll let Stephanie. What are your thoughts on Sauron?
Who do you think Sauron is? What do you think's going on with Sauron?
I don't know. I was talking to Jeremiah earlier. I was like, I feel like I need to go back and watch the whole backstory explanation at the very beginning because I didn't realize that Sauron was like gone. I'm like, where did he go? Like, I thought they were like hunting him, which they were.
Mm-hmm.
But do we think that he's like disappeared off the face of the earth?
Right.
Because I don't understand. Like, why would we think that old man is Sauron? Like, he came from heaven. Like, that's not Sauron.
Right. Well, the fire stuff was weird, and then they kept giving this like mysterious kind of like he's good. Wait, there's something kind of.
Oh wait, in episode 5, there was a weird moment where you know how like there's like different hints in TV shows where they say something and then it like cuts to a character, and then at the end they end up being the bad person.
Yes.
They said something about darkness, and it cut straight to the stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was doing, oh my gosh, I forget the scene. He was doing something and there was like haunting music in the background.
It was when he was doing the ice over his arm.
Yeah, like the ice and stuff. And it was like.
I think it's misdirection. I don't think you saw it.
It might be misdirection, but I was like.
They did the same thing with Halbrand, I feel like. Mm-hmm. Because there is a lot of theories about Halbrand being Sauron.
Because he's from there. He's from that area.
Well, because he's from there, but because he's like. He keeps saying, like, you don't know what I've done. And here's an interesting thing you guys might not know. So when Morgoth, Sauron's boss, was beaten, Sauron...
Just imagine this demon in, like, a business suit.
What a briefcase.
Just under arrest by gods, like, just, like, putting him in handcuffs.
He's just yelling at Sauron handcuffs. For not doing the job,
They did chain him with a giant chain, so it's basically handcuffs.
Oh, that's cool.
But... Sauron repented. He did it in fear. He did it in fear of the gods. Like he basically repented to the herald of the gods, Eonwë, and then Eonwë's like, okay. And I said this in the last episode. I'm not sure, but Eonwë was like, okay, go to Valinor and go face judgment then. And he hid himself away in Middle Earth. And so that is something that people are wondering because there is this repentant, like basically it was like Sauron kind of repented, but then he slid back into his old ways because that's who he was. So the question is like, would Amazon take that and explore that and like with a character like Halbrand and basically like maybe Halbrand's not the actual heir, maybe he's like disguising himself as this guy. Maybe he killed this guy, and he's disguised himself as him. And maybe there's some part of him, this version of like Sauron, if it was Sauron, that is like trying to resist his Sauronness and trying to be something better.
Yeah, I'm not convinced.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Halbrand is going to end up being a witch, like the one of the like. The
I
witch
think,
king.
yeah, I think he's gonna be a ring ring. That's what
I'm not convinced that he is Sauron. I'm not convinced that logic plays out for me.
Think of the here's the like poetic stuff. Like Galadriel's hunting and hates Sauron,
and he's right there.
And if he was, this is like kind of what people are saying is like, imagine if like the thing that she hates so much and he's hunting so much, and she is the one trying so hard to get him to come back to Middle Earth. Mm-hmm. You know when. Like
that would be very frustrating.
So that's and plus you've got this other guy over here in basically pre-Mordor trying to be the next Sauron or whatever.
Wait, who?
The elf guy.
The elf, the guy who's commanding the orcs, right?
Oh, right.
You got him over there.
Yeah.
And so imagine it's like Sauron coming to take back what's rightfully his, that mantle. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so
it would be poetic.
That's just like the narrative reasons.
It rhymes.
Want to do it, but the rhyming reasons. But I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not gonna. I'm withholding my emotions.
If it did and they did it well, I would accept it. Like that's a cool theory.
I kind of want to be open to that because I don't want to. Because I want to like the show, but at the same time, I think here's what I think is most interesting is if Halbrand is, a ring wraith.
Yeah.
And Sauron is advising like Celebrimbor, and we just haven't seen him yet. Like we're going to meet at the end of season at the season, there's going to be some elf that is going to get revealed named Anatar, maybe, because that's what...
Is Sauron an elf?
He took like a fair appearance. He had a fair form that he appeared to people as, that I think people think like as an elf, because he appeared to the elves to try and convince them, basically like to convince them that, hey, I've got all this knowledge and I can give you these gifts and stuff. And he basically helped teach Celebrimbor how to make the Rings of Power. So
I think we're so early on in the show that we probably don't know who Sauron is yet.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to be like, I think you said in your guys' last episode, you talked about how it's 5 seasons, you know, it's going to be like a long, drawn-out, years-long show. So it's a little too soon, I feel like, for us to know. But it's fun to theorize about and talk about.
I do agree with you. I think that someone's going to, there's going to be an elf that's going to show up at the end of the season. Or someone along those lines is going to show up to Celebrimbor, those people. And I think that might end up being Sauron. That's my guess. I still don't think we've seen him yet. I think all these characters are important. I think Halbrand is going to be a Ringwraith.
Could he be the Witch King?
Yeah, that's my theory. I think that would be the most interesting thing, is if you know, he had this kind of like redemption arc and then somehow backslid later in the show, like in a later season, and kind of descended. Because I mean, when people take the Rings of Power, they don't think they're going to become a Ringwraith, you know. They think they're getting a Ring of Power, but then those kings, because they're men, they're just more susceptible to the corruption, you know, and it just takes them. So that would be, I think that would be way more interesting for me than him being Sauron.
This is like years long down the road, but it's like, how are they going to end the show in a satisfying way? Because it's like,
it's going to have
you pick up the trilogy in a very bad place. Like everything is
for
left.
all our characters. Yeah.
Everything is left like destroyed.
I mean, Galadriel, you know, we're going to get to see Galadriel coming into her own in Lothlorien and stuff. So it would make sense for it to end, you know, it'll end on a more like, it can end on a better note, but somewhat like unsettled note. You know, it's like Sauron's gone, but something still doesn't feel right, you know, but Galadriel and Elrond are going to be at that point, you know, coming into their own as having Rivendell and Lothlorien and stuff.
You know whose story I'm really excited to watch throughout the seasons?
Who?
Isildur.
Yeah.
I'm
Love
really
him.
excited to see
There's a lot of teaser stuff with his character. Right?
I'm just so excited what's going to happen with him. And Elendil.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Elendil and Isildur and what they're doing. What do you guys think about like everything that's going on in Numenor? Like all the kind of like difficult, like it's kind of a delicate political situation there. Was it? Oh, did we see the Silmaril in episode 4, or was that episode 3?
Not a Silmaril. You're thinking of
Silmaril. I mean, the Palantir.
That was 4.
The Seeing Stone.
That was 4.
Wasn't that cool?
That was really cool.
Awesome.
Seeing a non, because the Seeing Stones in Lord of the Rings
are all corrupted.
It's very dangerous because Sauron's like corrupted them. Yeah.
Well, and she said too, there's only 7. This is the only one that's been found. Does that mean they made more?
I thought it was
did
9. Or is it 7?
I think there's 7.
I don't know.
There's 7 stones, and I don't know what that means. That's whatever. That's just what they're doing in the show.
Not important.
But yeah.
The political situation there, it kept going back and forth. I feel like the town was rioting because she was sending people over, and then the next moment they're like celebrating the soldiers going off to war, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But I guess it's like the city is probably split, so maybe the people who are upset were
well,
not
and
there.
they kind of showed that guy, her advisor,
he sucks, by the way.
the Farazan or whatever with the big beard.
Yes.
They kind of showed that, you know, he's supporting her and they trust him. You know what I mean? Like he's like trust.
He leads the people right now, not her.
He what?
He leads the people right now, not her. And he's doing it for his own greedy reasons, not for the right reasons. I don't like him. I think he'll be a bad guy. Can we also just take a moment and just take a laugh that Isildur's sister was urging that one guy to try and stop the invasion, and then he's the reason that Isildur ends up getting right on the boat to be a part of the crew.
Made him do the heroic looking thing, so that he got to get on the boat. Yeah,
I just think that's hilarious.
That is hilarious. Crazy. What I just think was crazy is like that. You know, she talks to him and is like, "Talk to him," and then his thing is like, man, he's really pining for her because he talks to his dad and his dad, you know, gives him all the reasons he's not worried about it. So he goes and blows up ships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really strange. I don't understand what's going on there.
What was he going to do?
I don't even know what's going on.
I blew up the ships.
I don't even know what's going on with the sister. Like, the sister in herself is kind of weird, too. But
she's just using her womanly wiles to get her way.
Well, it almost makes me think she's gonna have a kind of a opposite of a redemption arc, a corruption arc. I don't know.
I have a question.
Just because she's like not on the side of them, you know, going to Middle Earth.
I have a question. How is Isildur and Elendil? Are they like royalty? Do they have royal blood?
Yeah.
So what's going on with that now?
Well, what's going on with that now is that they are from a part of, like, they mention it, you know, they keep talking about the west coast of Numenor. So the west coast of Numenor is a part of Numenor that is much more loyal to the old ways, which is, you know, they still like revere the elves and the gods in the west. So that's really what the issue is. The reason the Numenor don't like the elves is because the elves are the firstborn. They're like the firstborn children of the Valar.
Valar.
And so, since they feel like shortchanged and stuff because they're not immortal and all these things, and they're not as favored, they don't like the elves. But everyone in the West does, and that's where Isildur and Elendil, that's where their family comes from. So they are from a royal. They do have like a royal line. Like if enough people, you know, died or whatever, they'd be in the line of succession. In fact, they're probably more directly in the line of succession in the books than they really portrayed in the show.
Okay, I was just curious because in the show it seems not much.
But it's fair. The show, to be fair to the show, though, they do say they were of a royal line. It's kind of like they basically said, we're not going to consider them nobility anymore. They're losing their nobility because they're too friendly to elves.
Okay, so then I'll probably change once they go over to Middle Earth, and
which I think is actually really interesting to make Elendil, you know, be more of a humble, come from a more humble position, even though he's got he's got the credentials, but because of the way the political climate is, like he's in a more humble position. I think that's really interesting to imagine him going from that to the end of the series. He's the king.
He's king.
You know, so that's gonna be really cool to see that like journey of his character and stuff. You know, and to see him and Isildur's relationship. I like that they've got like work to do and be interesting.
I feel like, sort of off topic, we're going back to your previous question about the city. I honestly feel like I was kind of siding with the queen, with Galadriel. Like, this elf just comes out of nowhere and is, like, so intense about all these different things. And she's like, no, like, we're not going with you.
This is a delicate situation here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not just gonna... But then I liked how they slowly opened up to each other, and that was good. But, like, Galadriel is just so intense sometimes. I'm like, girl... And she got thrown in jail. I was like, you kind of deserve that. Like, you need to... And the guy was so right. He's like, you're really good with the sword, but, like, what did he say? In the throne room or the courtroom or something, you could work on that.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
She doesn't have very good people skills.
She's not political at all.
That's another thing, though. That's another thing in the Halbrand Sauron column. Is Sauron is super cunning and super like good at manipulation and things like that. So him like giving her all that advice and it's kind of and that could be misdirect. That could be them like, let's make this guy like, let's give this guy some personality traits that could fit Sauron because we just are going to have fun making people wonder. Right. I do want to say though about like the way the episode 4 starts, that vision. Or like dream. Well, it's a vision, and she's dreaming about it. The queen. That gave me super big chills because that's a thing in the book that I've read about for years.
And then you saw
And the episode's
it.
even called the Great Wave or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And you know what's really cool about that too? I was thinking about it today. I kind of rewatched a couple episodes. And I was thinking about today, you know how they have that mantra? It's a little cheesy. The sea is always right.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of simple. But at the same time, imagine if your mantra of your people is the sea is always right. And a great wave comes. It's like a big statement, you know, about where you are at in your morals, you know, that the sea is coming to judge you. So I just thought that was a really cool thing to see in the show, and very good foreshadowing for, you know, what's at stake for them as a people. So anyway, just had to shout out that.
And I will say it was very fun to watch you see that for the first time.
I was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme with the thing, like the pointing at the TV.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, Aaron,
Yes.
we were talking earlier, and you said that the Arondir, the one elf with the humans right now, the Southlands, you said he's growing on you.
Yeah, he is.
Explain.
I don't know. Just for one thing, he survived all of those orcs, and I that was just absolutely crazy to me that Adar, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
You know, said, you know, here's this message, give it to them, and you know, it just seemed a little too easy. But then once I figured out, like, oh, he's gonna come and he's gonna take over not only their land, but he also wants to rule them. I was like, oh, okay, well, he's not actually letting him go. But, you know, just getting to watch him fight, getting to watch him, you know, interact with the people. I don't know. There's just something about him that I just really like. I was skeptical about him at first because I didn't really like the relationship between him and that woman. And it's funny to me that it somehow seems that she's the leader of all of these people all of a sudden.
I thought that too.
Steph was thrown off by
is
that.
she like the queen or something? Is she
She's
significant?
somehow dictating. Like,
She stood up. She just stood up and took the position. I mean, that's just what happens.
I just felt a little bit lost. Like, I love that storyline. If she's gonna like take charge and just do that, that's great. But if I was like, is she like a person of significance, or is she just like the only one that cares?
Well,
it seems like she's the only one that cares.
You know, like once they saw that, you know, the sword, like that monument or whatever in the stone, she's just like, okay, well, we're destined for darkness and death. But he, you know, is like wanting to fight and like, this is not, you don't have to surrender to this. Like, we can keep fighting. And I'm just like, get the heck out of there. Like, why aren't you leaving? You're just going to come and let them take you over? Like,
I loved that scene so much.
Where the orcs were marching.
Right after the statue, where they see the weird statue of Sauron's face, it looks like, with the sword. And then you have her basically, she's gone. She's in despair. She's like, we're done. We might as well just bend the knee now. And that just whole interaction was just, I don't know, I really liked the interaction with her just being, and it's in front of everybody, of just being like, you know, there is one way out, and it's just about it. And then the elf, you know, Arondir just being like, no, there's gotta be another way. You don't have to, you know, your people have spent an age trying to make amends, basically, for aligning themselves with the dark before.
Yeah.
Don't ruin that right now. He says your son and your son's sons will be paying for it. I don't know, it's just such a good moment, I felt like. And it really does, I really like Arondir. He's probably one of my favorite characters in the show right now. Just because he seems like that was one of the more genuine elves.
he does,
You know, he's more human, I guess.
Boots on the ground too.
Yeah,
he's actually getting out there in the dirt and the mud.
He's like done more than anyone in the whole show.
He's had more action than anybody. He's had more action than anybody else in the show right now.
Yeah.
But he's, you know, and I don't know. He's just such a cool character. Like, I don't know. Even him, like, even the scene with him talking with the kid of just like, raise your aim, you know, fix your shot, and then they talk and just everything that he, you know, just that whole conversation. I like the conversation with the kid. Where the kid says something like, you know, you guys have been checking how sharp our knives are, and yada yada yada. He makes a statement of just like when I've come to see the hands behind those knives, and it's like he's really come to know these people that he's been watching over.
Well, I really appreciated, that finally someone like him knows that this kid has this, this thing, like I guess it's a key now, and he didn't lose his mind, like he didn't freak out. Yeah, like he didn't get onto him or whatever. He's like, okay, that, kind of answers some questions.
It's like he found out the kid had drugs and he was really cool about it.
The cool stepdad.
I just really appreciated that.
Speaking of the hilt too, I really just want in the end of the show for Sauron to take the hilt, and from it just grows a chain and a mail, and it's just his mail that he has in the beginning of.
Oh, the mace. You
the
mean?
Mace. It's a mail, mace, chain mail, whatever. I don't know what that's called. Whatever.
Yeah,
I just want that. Just come to find out this sword is actually just Sauron's weapon.
It's just a giant mace. Yeah. Yeah, that sword cool. That sword is like hardcore.
It's super hardcore.
It's like intentionally just a hilt, a broken hilt, unless you jam it into your arm. Mm-hmm. And then it lights on fire and turns
your blood will make it a blade.
Yeah, it's powered by your blood. It's pretty crazy. Okay, let's talk about the Harfoots for a second.
I wanted to get into that because I know that Aaron has some things to say.
Listen. I'm won over, okay, by the Harfoots.
Interesting.
All right, this is someone who I was all through production video, pictures and stuff. I was they look like weird hippie hobbits and stuff, and they've got twigs in their hair and stuff, all these things, and just didn't know. I figured it was going to be the thing I was going to be most suspect on of the show. But here's the thing. The hobbits, their ancestors really did start on the east side of the Misty Mountains, over by the Great River. And they, at some point, they decided to migrate over the mountains, and so they were migratory. And so these are the hardened, grizzled, pioneer ancestors of the hobbits that had to go through this crazy stuff so that one day Frodo and Bilbo could just smoke a pipe on the front porch. That's pretty hardcore to see this a little bit of a storyline of what their ancestors may have gone through. And I just love I love the song that Poppy sings or whatever.
I did like that song.
It's a beautiful song.
The whole traveling scene, and all the landscapes. That was so Lord of the Rings to me. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I just love the family dynamic in that montage of them just working together, going through things.
With the stranger too. I'm so glad that he's becoming part of that family.
Yeah, it was really
once again, really is starting to push me towards it being like Gandalf or something. I don't know.
I have a theory.
Oh, I'll just real quick go and have an aside. I also don't mind the Half-Foots, by the way. I actually don't mind them. I kind of like them. How can you not like them? They have great accents.
Yeah, how could you?
Aaron, what do you think?
Perfect accents. What do you think?
What are your thoughts, Aaron?
Aaron?
You like Aaron, dear. What do you think about the Half-Foots?
I don't like them.
Why? What did they do to you?
They're very annoying.
Where did they hurt you?
All they do is remind me of Merry and Pippin.
You don't like Merry and Pippin?
Characters. They're the best characters of all the
They
Rings.
are so annoying.
What is wrong? Josh, what's wrong with her?
Well, I think it annoys her as maybe. Do you feel like maybe being a mother and seeing the disobedience and the recklessness? Do you think that maybe
the rebellion
that affects you more?
Maybe, yeah, and I'm just not realizing that.
Yeah, how would you feel if your kids just brought home a giant
the introduction to Nori's character.
Oh my gosh.
The introduction to Nori's character is her, helping all these little kids sneak into some farmers land or something where it's super dangerous. And
hold on real quick though. I'm sorry, I gotta go back for just a second. You don't like Merry and Pippin?
Not really, no. That's a hot take.
Honestly though, Like, I don't like when I saw the movies, I didn't like Pippin in the first movie.
I love both of them.
I like him in the third movie, but like in the first movie, he is like constantly like
Pippin
he's
is
an airhead.
Of course, that's what's great about
the
him.
reason that Gandalf died.
We've been through this though. He's the reason the ring is destroyed.
Pippin?
If Pippin doesn't get Gandalf killed, then he doesn't become Gandalf the White. He doesn't bring the
How does Pippin
reinforcements.
get Gandalf killed?
Because he's the one
wakes
who
up the
knocked.
orcs,
He
the
It
Balrog
would have
wakes up the
happened. It
Balrog.
would have happened anyway.
No.
But no, I'm sorry. He's not the reason that the ring was destroyed. Sam is the reason the ring was destroyed.
I was about to say,
Thank you very
Sam
much.
and
Sam is the
Okay,
reason.
okay.
Smeagol are the reasons
not the ring.
that the ring was
No, but
destroyed.
then the Fellowship wouldn't have split up. The Fellowship split because Gandalf died. Sorry.
That's fair.
I'm
That's
sorry.
fair.
It is written.
It's written.
This is the way.
They were already split, though. Oh,
No, they split.
Okay.
They split,
Oh,
right?
They
you're
split
talking-
because everything went sideways after Gandalf died. And Frodo's like, I gotta go.
I gotta
No,
get
but
myself out
they-
of this situation.
Well, but they were still together, and then in the woods is when
Yeah.
they split.
Okay, so
I'm convinced he's the hero of the story.
Yeah.
My
He's the hero we need.
if you're gonna trace it
It's
back
not the hero we
that far,
deserve.
He's the hero we need.
if you're gonna trace it back that far, you would be like, Bilbo's the reason the ring is destroyed because he found it in the cave, and then
Sure.
you can go back further than that. Like it's just,
I mean, technically
There's not a lot of
Sauron is the
logic
reason
to
the
the-
ring is destroyed. Because
yeah, because he
Okay.
made it.
He made it in the first place.
Okay. I guess it's just like that
No,
that
okay,
that
no.
happening is important.
I understand. I understand what you are saying because
Okay, thank you.
Gandalf died and became Gandalf the White. He saved all of them
Yeah.
at what was it?
Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep. He saved them because they
Yeah.
were about to be overrun.
Right.
And but then he
He did a lot. I could go on.
but then
We could do a whole
he
podcast episode.
also,
Just on
is
We've
the-
gone off on a real tangent here. I love it.
no, but he gave them the idea. Oh no, wait, it was Aragorn. Never mind.
What?
That gave them the idea to go and distract Sauron's eye to give Frodo that last push to be able to get
Yeah,
to
that
the
was
mountain. But that was Aragorn, so
I don't know.
I take it all back.
I never watched that movie and saw Pippin do that and be like, Pippin's the reason that Gandalf died. I never.
I never thought that.
No, I mean, Pippin made a mistake and that happened.
Maybe because I'm a mother. And
but I also
maybe
think
that is. I don't know.
I also think that they
Gandalf
would have
made a choice.
Well,
I don't
yes.
think, like-
You're
Gandalf
right.
made a
We shouldn't
choice.
remove Gandalf's agency.
He's a
Gandalf-
free thinking man.
He can be a woman if he wants. Okay,
He's not a man. He's a Maiar.
Oh, sorry.
Gandalf could have. I hope you didn't hear what I said. You hear it in post.
What did you say?
Oh, no. What
Because
did
you're gonna
you
have a
say?
hard time cutting because I said it on everything else.
Oh no. Oh no. What have you done?
I'll hear later.
What have you done?
Um,
It's gonna be the name of the episode,
I
isn't
really
it?
want to know what he said though. He's the only one that can listen to it.
I'll tell you after the podcast.
Breathe, jeez.
No, but he. Oh crap! I lost my train of thought.
Good.
Yeah, we're all proving
That's
you
what you
wrong
get.
No,
right
but in my opinion, it would have happened either way. Like, I don't think that Pippin woke them up and that was like, oh, it's his fault. It's like they were gonna wake up anyway.
Nori is the reason the ring is destroyed.
Oh my gosh!
Poppy is the reason.
I don't know. I'm just warmed up to the Harfoot storyline. I don't know how
this
they
is the
did
Rings
it.
of Power podcast, not Lord of the Rings one.
Oh, yes. Let's go back.
Anyways.
But I love I think the stranger is possibly a blue wizard. You guys know about the blue wizards?
I do.
I heard
They're blue.
I heard a little bit about that on your previous podcast.
I can see it. It would keep the show kind of out of.
Sorry.
Pause for the pouring sound effect.
It would
Side
keep,
pour. Side pour.
It would keep. It would keep like the main wizards out of that show.
Yeah.
And it would kind of
We've
give
never
them
seen a blue
more
wizard.
agency to make a new character.
And here's the thing, though, about the blue wizard idea.
They have ice.
It's blue. No.
Ice is
I
even
totally thought that was. Do they
yes,
really?
It is.
blue. No, it's not.
The iciest ice is. The more icy it gets, the bluer it gets.
It's
It's
a
a
deep
fact.
It's a deep blue. It's like so blue it's white.
Exact. It's so
ice?
blue. It's white. You were trying to help me out, and I can't even go along with that. I'm gonna say that just randomly from now on. Anytime something's blue, it's like it's so blue, it's white. Or if it's white, I'll say it's so blue, it's white. Yeah.
Next time someone tells you they're blue, just be like, well, if you keep going, you'll be white.
Yeah, keep going. The further you go, the whiter you get.
The further you go.
Oh my gosh. No, listen.
White,
listen
because
here.
it contains all
Blue
other colors.
wizards.
Listen up here. Okay, so in the thing about like Tolkien's writings and stuff, so much of it was published after he died, and so there was never like a fixed canon for certain things. Like he has different versions of some things. So one version of the story with the wizards is that they all came at the same time in the Third Age. And so my thought was, there's no good reason for this to be one wizard over another, because technically, canonically, none of them should be here because it's a little early. But there was a different version where the blue wizards came over earlier in the Second Age, around the time the Rings of Power were made.
Interesting.
So it could still be Gandalf, and if it is, I'm fine with it. I'm happy that it's Gandalf, but it could be a blue wizard. Because, and if it is, I would think there'd be another one floating out there somewhere that might be connect to his story further on. But basically, I'm just saying that it could be a blue wizard, and there's like canonical reasons it would make sense that it would be one of the blue wizards, because there's versions of the story where the blue wizards went over first. So, and the blue wizards, like, they don't come into the story of Lord of the Rings because they went off into the east to counter some evil stuff happening over there, and they like never came back. So no one even knows what happened to them. So it'd be interesting, to do a version of that. And there's people hunting him, apparently.
Yes, I was supposed to ask, who do you think they
Remember
are?
those 3 people in white that were like looking down on the crater where he landed?
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
And they look weird.
Do you have any theories at all as to who they might be?
I have nothing.
That was very creepy.
People think that there was like an Eye of Sauron looking thing on one of them, but I didn't think it really looked like the Eye of Sauron. They could be like Eastern, like sorcerers from the East that have somehow, because they had the constellation he was looking for. They had like the symbol of the constellation. Yeah, remember the fireflies? He had the constellation.
Yeah.
They had a plate. They were holding it up and looking at it while they were looking at the crater, and it looked like that same constellation. So somehow they seem to be anticipating him. So I don't know. I don't know who they are. But honestly, though, I'm so on board with that character. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, it could be Gandalf.
I agree.
It could be Radagast. It could be Saruman. It could be...
And I love his friendship with... Oh my gosh, what's her name?
No.
You say Rory?
I did just say Rory.
Nori.
Nori.
Steph's been watching Gilmore Girls, okay?
Yeah, I have 4 Rory's on the
3 glasses of wine and a porter in, alright? Give me a break.
Okay, I will.
I love their... I like their friendship. And my favorite thing about the Hobbits, again... My favorite thing about the... What do they call them, babe?
They're not even called Half-Foots,
What did
man.
you say?
I'm not... They're Harfoots.
Harfoots?
Oh my god.
They have an accent, so of course they sound like Harfoot.
I think
Yeah,
I'll
it's
be
true.
driving home.
Half-Foots. They do, you're right, because they don't pronounce the R right.
Yeah, it's Halffoot, so it's Harfoot.
Because I pronounce it right. They don't pronounce it right. Anyway.
What are they really? Harfoots?
The Harfoots, yeah. Harfoots.
H-A-R-F.
Harfo.
Okay, you can go ahead and go and post delete everything I said Harfoot.
No, never.
I sound like an idiot now.
You don't. You're fine.
It's okay. We'll edit it out.
No, I usually sound like an idiot anyway at one point.
Will?
Oh my gosh, that was spicy.
Joking. Love you. What were you saying about the
Halffoot sounds better.
Hardfoots?
Shut up.
Can you get to your point, please?
We're trying to move on. What are we calling them?
Harfoots.
Hardfoots.
Technically, you can call them hobbits, though, because the Harfoots are a subset of hobbit.
Okay.
Halflings.
The halflings, just kidding. The Hardfoots, what I love about them, again, the creative costume design.
Yeah.
Like,
they're very different.
the hairdressing and stuff is so, every time,
yeah.
I love it. like the entire show, the costumes are so good, but specifically that group of people, I'm just like, I love it. Erin is shaking her head.
I like how different.
She doesn't like it. If
I
I,
like
could just
how
run
different-
Can you imagine walking around with weeds in your hair?
Can you
all day long?
imagine just having flowers in your hair, running around in the mountains, eating berries,
Hey.
and that's your
Barefoot
whole
and
life?
being chased
Aaron.
by
That
wolves?
sounds amazing.
maybe they're like emitting essential oils, and we all know.
Not weeds. Not dry, dead weeds.
Isn't that what essential oils are derived from?
Weeds?
Well,
okay.
we call
This is
them
another
weeds.
podcast.
We call them weeds.
Okay,
what are you guys doing in this household?
Yeah,
Is that what I'm smelling?
What kind of plant is that?
Okay, well, but
That's why they're so chill.
yeah.
oh my gosh.
It is what does Gandalf call
Well,
it?
isn't Pippin
Pipeweed.
smoking after they defeat Saruman?
Yeah, it's tobacco. It's supposed to be tobacco, but they made him a little stoned.
It's definitely
They were totally stoned.
the Hobbit's lettuce.
What you're saying? Go on.
Well, no, I just had a question because you have a theory that maybe the stranger is a blue wizard. Do they have any affiliation with the hobbits at all?
No.
Because it makes so much sense that he's Gandalf.
Right.
I mean, he looks like
Yeah,
Gandalf.
that's the reason.
dressed
Yeah,
like
that's a
Gandalf.
good reason for it to be Gandalf, is because Gandalf has such a strong connection to the hobbits.
I know, but
You know.
Ian McKellen is Gandalf.
That's true.
I feel like no matter how good the story goes, if it is Gandalf, I'm just gonna be like at least 5% bitter. That it's
thing
If
is,
they
though-
did this
McKellen.
10
The thing
years
is,
ago,
though,
Ian McKellen...
He could have done it.
The thing is, though, that actor is communicating so many things without words. Like
He's really good.
he
He's really
does
good.
such
Yes.
a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. The
I
actor is
mean-
phenomenal for him. For how little lines he has, he is. You're right.
He-
portraying
he
him.
That's why I
Maybe-
said I would only be 5% bitter, because I am enjoying the character and the story arc, and if it's Gandalf, I think that would be so cute
Yeah.
and add so much to the later story, but
What I'm
Ian
Shout out to
McKellen has a
Daniel.
special place.
He's the stranger.
Daniel Wayman, right?
What I'm so curious about with the
Shout out to Daniel.
Harfoots is what is their story? Because they don't play an integral
I
role
know.
in the rings. So what exactly are we getting from them?
Yeah.
Like, what is
The wizard.
Don't know.
Yes.
It's the wizard.
I know it's the wizard, but like, what does he have a part of? It makes me it makes me like them more because I'm curious of what they're gonna do
Curious.
with them.
He's slapping the ground so hard he's shattering his arm. That's
I know,
what
I
he's-
felt so bad when that happened. I was like, oh my god.
The Frozen thing too. He freaked out Nori.
Yeah. That's that.
No.
She's concerned now. What? No, what?
She freaked out because she
Oh,
grabbed
she's mad at Nori.
him. Oh my gosh. I'm like, if you see him,
Hey.
if he doesn't heal himself, they will all die.
It's true.
So why
That's
would
fair.
you interrupt him
She
in
was
the
worried.
middle of him healing his arm?
she doesn't know he was healing
Yeah,
his
to be
arm.
fair, she didn't know he was healing.
She's like,
Okay,
why is
well,
that
would
arm
you grab
freezing?
someone whose arm was turning to
not
ice?
his arm.
Hey, maybe she's self-sacrificing, and she's like, I don't care what happens if I
No.
grab
Look,
him.
all I'm
I'm
saying-
pulling that hand out of the ice.
I don't care what they do.
No.
Their accents are amazing. So they're amazing.
Okay,
Oh
but
my
Jeremiah,
gosh.
what you said
30
is like,
minutes ago.
what are they adding to the story? And that's why I don't like them. They are adding
I will. Well, real quick, I will 100%.
That's all
they're
they need
adding
to add.
absolutely nothing
That
to
song.
the story.
Well, I
of
will.
Sauron.
I will 100% say that like episode 4, they weren't in it at all. So like a good thing. So a good when episode 3, when Durin and Elrond were in it, I noticed that they weren't in the episode. It was
He
like
noticed.
It was like they're not here. I want to know what's going on with them. But with the, I will
and
say,
it
with
was
the
a good episode,
yeah,
wasn't
but I'll
it?
say with the Harfoots, when they were in episode 4, I didn't necessarily like. By the end of it, I was like, oh, they weren't in it. There isn't, and they're not integral to the story.
Yeah.
They're
that we
kind
can
of
see.
just there. And then yeah, you have the stranger. The stranger's really cool, and I'm
But
curious
the
what's going on. with them.
stranger.
But like, why? But what is you know?
Mystery.
Well, I'm about it. Don't get me wrong.
So
But I'm
they-
saying,
they
like,
do
I wasn't
add-
upset when they weren't in the episode.
Right.
No, it kind of sounds like you're leaning towards
You're right. Let's do it, Aaron. They
The
suck.
dark side.
Just come over to my side.
The
Stop
dark
fighting it.
So the thing is about them though is they do add a lightheartedness to the rest of like the rest of the show is pretty. I guess you've got Elrond and Durin has been a little more lighthearted.
Maybe that's why you hate him here. You just hate the lightheartedness. You want darkness.
No.
But everything else is more intense and very like high stakes. And I guess there's a little high stakes with them, but it's more about, it's not about like the entirety of Middle Earth. It's just about this family, you know, can they like survive? And then they've got this giant, you know, basically tagging along.
But did the stranger break
Groot.
Nori's dad's foot?
No.
Then what happened to him?
I don't think he did. I just think that was like a parallel. Man, I don't know. You know,
Did something fall on his foot?
They were like
That was
putting
an
up a tent
earlier-
and he fell.
Well, he did, but like at the same time, he was drawing something for Nori. He was trying to communicate with her, and then the stick broke the same time that guy, his dad's leg broke.
I think that was just...
Oh, but he wouldn't have done it on purpose.
No,
No,
he
I don't
wouldn't
think-
have.
I don't think
It's
that
just
has-
odd for them to show it like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just
And
cinematic effect.
Well, there's
Yeah.
really been no explanation to
I mean-
it whatsoever, except that now they need his help to get them.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately what it was the consequence of Nori, like not being there and
Yes.
running off again. It was showing the consequence is because like he right before that, he was like calling, where's Nori? Where's Nori? And then she didn't come up. So he had to try and like do that. And he's, you know, I guess a little tender.
Was she gonna do that?
Yes.
I don't know. I guess so.
She was to help.
Or maybe they would have done it together,
Oh,
you know?
okay.
But so I think that was kind of what that was about, was the consequences of her not listening. So that's important, you know, when you have a character has a flaw, there's consequences. So when you see, so that means that, like, to me, I think that maybe a little bit with Nori's character, when she gets a little spooked by the stranger there, her like exploration and kind of like going and doing things and pushing the limits, she's kind of seeing that there is some danger there. She's kind of realizing that a little bit there, that maybe I misjudged things. And I think that's part of her character's journey. Then you have like Galadriel. I don't know if we talked about it yet. If we coming back to like that storyline, she's had a flaw,
Mhm.
and a lot of people have been off put by her to different degrees, right? That like she is super driven by grief and very self like righteous and stuff in her grief, and so she's like pushing her men too far. She's ignoring the king. She's all this stuff. Well, she kind of acknowledges in episode 5, I think, to Halbrand that she's ignoring her grief. You know, Steph, I think you were talking about, like, you had something you wanted to mention about her,
About Galadriel.
her character.
Well, I think what I was saying about her is I enjoy her intensity, and I feel like in the first couple episodes it made sense. And it was a good introduction to her character. And I just have to say, the actress, it has nothing to do with her. I think she's amazing, and she is mirroring Kate Blanchett and the trilogy like so well. Like
Yeah.
the eye, like even like in her eyes, just the way she looks, it's like I can picture.
She's very intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Galadriel, because like I said, Galadriel in the trilogy is kind of creepy, and I feel like Galadriel has in this show has the same intensity. But what I was saying about her earlier, before we started recording, was I feel like the intensity is getting a little bit old. Like she's such a one-dimensional character that's like her only. We don't really like know much more about her other than
Right.
she's just very like driven by this revenge and anger. And I think you mentioned a moment at the end of between her and
Halbrand. Yeah.
They had a moment where she, maybe you could see for a second, she realized what she is doing is like not the best course of action. But she's like, I can't stop hunting. Like she's like, I can't. So that was I feel like that adds a little bit more, because like you saw a little bit of a struggle there. Like up until now, she's just so pushy and so intense, and there's no other emotion, there's nothing else to her.
Yeah.
And then that moment kind of switched it around. I hope we see more of that in the future, because I don't feel as strongly negative as most people do towards her character, but it was getting a little bit old. That's all
Yeah.
I'll have to say.
Well, plus she's been stuck in the same place for like the majority of the season, you know, because
Yeah.
all she's trying to do
Yeah, that's
is, you know,
true.
continue to be
Yeah.
getting off Middle or you know,
Back to Middle Earth.
Yeah, like she wants to keep getting back to Middle Earth, which is also why she's been pushing to
Yeah.
like, let's get out of here.
Again, if I was the queen, I'd be like, girl, get out of here.
Yeah, like just send her
You're just
back.
coming in here and causing a ruckus.
I really like this aspect of Galadriel too, where she's acknowledging the fact that she's not wrong in trying to hunt down the evil, but the way she's going about it and her reasonings are wrong. You know, she is kind of in this.
It's
It's
more
like-
personal for her than the better good, I feel like.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she acknowledged it. She was just like, you know, she even said, you know, my whole company mutinied. My best friend conspired with the king to banish me, basically, or exile me. You know, they now see me as the evil, or they see
She
me,
said they
I'm-
can't distinguish me from the evil I'm
that-
fighting.
Yes. So she is realizing that what she has done is wrong, and the way she's going about it is wrong, but she also can't stop. Because she is so consumed with grief for her brother and for the darkness out there,
Mhm.
you know, and I think that really brings in a great, you know, mental aspect of it, you know, bring us into her psyche of what's going on, and I like that, and I hope that is branched out more, and I hope we get to see more of that, of this, you know, and it's nice to see that she's acknowledging it, you know.
Yeah, that dialogue was good.
She has these issues going on, and she realizes it, but she can't stop.
Yeah. It helps her character a lot because instead of her being like this self-righteous kind of like just completely self-righteous and completely sort of oblivious, she's like, no, she's not oblivious. Like she kind of knows that this is not like she has a problem, but she just has been putting off. It's kind of like, you know, when you put off something for a long time, right? It just builds and builds and builds behind you. And you're like, if I stop and try, actually, like, it can be frightening almost. The longer you put it off, the harder it can be to kind of face it, you know, and that's kind of where she's at. She's been doing that for hundreds of years. So, I mean, imagine the tidal wave of grief that's kind of waiting for her because because instead of like grieving over her brother, she just took his oath to hunt down Sauron, and she just didn't look back, and that just drove her. But it also helped her because it connected her with Halbrand. Like, I think there's a piece of that connected, like, with Halbrand. Halbrand's like, oh, she kind of gets it. Like, this is kind of like there's something with his past that is similar, and that I don't know what it's going to be, because he straight up said, when you find out, you'll abandon me, or you'll. So it must be pretty bad.
Yeah.
It can't just be generic, like, you know, I was a coward, I ran away, or like I did something for the darkness so that I could get away. I mean, I guess it could be, but it can't be too generic. It's going to be pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Whatever it is for him to be so confident in that. But anyway,
the actress
was
that plays
important.
her is so good. Like, she's so ethereal the way she does it, and just the intensity, and she just does it so good.
Mm-hmm.
I love her.
Well,
Definitely distinct.
we've got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, we do, because they know how to like have good length episodes. So
Well, they've
we got
also
at least
just
3 more hours.
They've also just completely reeled me in. Like, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
If they keep this up for the remainder of the show, like the seasons, I mean, it's going to be up there with one of my favorite, not just favorite fantasy shows, but favorite shows of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely feels like it's starting to feel like Lord of the Rings, starting to feel like Middle Earth to me, especially when you have that scene with the orcs. You know, they got their torches and they're walking towards the castle.
They're
the tower.
chanting. I love the orcs and all their little, like, chanting and, like,
It
the
just
names.
that felt like I feel like these next couple episodes we're
Right.
gonna start getting some like actual battles too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like a Helm's Deep kind of thing is coming.
Kind of thing is coming. Did you
Yeah.
notice that they lit the fire on the tower? Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm. I
The
did.
beacon.
I didn't notice
It looks
that.
like they lit a
yeah.
beacon on top of the
Oh,
tower.
okay, the beacons are lit.
Beacons are lit. The beacons are made
The Southlands call for aid.
Every time I hear that, the way Viggo Mortensen is, like, running up those stairs as fast as he can, I just
I mean,
picture that
that was
in
such a
my head.
long run.
Gondor
too.
calls for aid.
He was out of out of breath, completely out of breath.
He just
That
looks like
poor
he's
man.
about
Hopefully
to
they only made him do that
faceplant.
once.
That is the only thing that is missing from this show is that man right there.
Do you
Yeah.
want some?
It's cool though to see, like, you know, that was a whole like thing in the movies, you know, is being afraid of being like a Isildur. You're a Isildur's heir and not a Isildur himself, and you know the same weaknesses in my veins and everything. And then in episode 4 or 5, his friend says to him, "I hope someday you find something that you're willing to sacrifice anything for." The friggin' ring of power.
I will say though, too, Halvard, when he had the armor on and they're loaded on the boat, very strong Aragorn
Dude cleans
presence,
up.
man.
He's a cool. I think that's a cool. It's a cool, like, almost anti-hero version of Aragorn.
Mhm.
He's like he's got more of a dark edge to him, but he's got the same kind of vibe of, like, you know, doesn't want that mantle of king and everything. And I think that's like foreshadowing for his character. I think it's going to be like a reverse Aragorn, like not good that the king is returning, basically.
Well,
Anyway,
And Arondir is kind of like Legolas too.
he is
he's very Legolas-like.
with a good fade, but he is. Yeah, he's a good.
I'm looking forward to see what they could. I'm super curious as to how they're going to end this season.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for the rest of the show, the rest of the season.
I think we're going to see Sauron in the last episode.
I agree with
probably.
you. I think we will as well. And we'll definitely be talking about it here on the podcast.
Well, we
I'll
have
be
to wait
talking about it,
another
just
year.
not always on the podcast.
Why not?
This could be a regular
Why not do
thing,
this
guys.
again?
We can make this Bridge of 4 instead of Bridge of 2.
We'll need to ask permission from Brandon Sanderson first, right?
No,
I'm sure he's
no?
alright.
Oh, okay.
unless he listens.
Brandon Sanderson, if you listen, give us an email.
I would love nothing more than Brandon Sanderson to demand us, like, change something
change
because
something.
copyright
Because
reasons.
then you'd be talking to him.
Yeah, like, only we meet over coffee. Anyway.
What do you say? Wrap it
Well,
up?
as we say, this has been Bridge of 4 podcast. A
Far, far away bridge.
First try. This has been a Bridge of 2. A far, far away bridge. You guys aren't going to
It's
join
been
in?
a Bridge of 2?
Oh, you're right.
Dude,
It's
you
not
screwed
technically
it
been.
up.
Okay, do it again.
Hold up, real quick. Not only that, it's not always at a Bridge of 2 today. It's
What
a
are we
Bridge
gonna
of
call it?
4
Bridge of 4. This has been a Bridge of 4.
podcast.
A far, far away bridge.
Jeremiah didn't say
You
it.
didn't say podcast.
Oh my gosh.
A Bridge of 2 podcast.
Why don't you just say it? Why don't you say
Oh, wait,
it?
do we say that?
Why
Yeah.
don't you just say it? You say what you want to say.
I think we do say this has been the Bridge of 2 podcast, a far, far away bridge. I think you're right.
Oh my gosh. You might have to cut this. I don't remember.
I'm cutting you out of the whole episode.
Do it again. Do it again.
It'll just be weird blips in the conversation the whole time. It's like-
Cut all that. We'll just
Just like fart sounds.
go.
This has been the Bridge of 4 podcast.
Far,
Oh my
far
gosh.
away bridge.
Aaron- no, Aaron's going.
This is all going. This is all going at the end. It's gonna be so much.